Hello, my name is Tim, and welcome to the Resilient Gardening Club. I'm just going to be feeding the pigs some spinach quickly. Excuse my hobbling. That's my foot. Come on, piggies.
My farm is fueled by a couple of local restaurants and supermarkets. I collect their waste, their kitchen scraps, and food that's past its sell-by date. I go probably about twice a week, or whenever it's convenient, really, bring it back to my farm, and I feed it all to my animals, and as a result I just don't have to pay anything. So if my farm were to have a mascot, it would be a yellow bucket. I get them from a local restaurant that I pick up food for. I pick up their waste food, kitchen scraps, and it's food for the pigs, and they get those buckets from their fryer oil delivery, so they have spare buckets at the end of the process, and I take them and pick up the food. And local restaurants really like it because, as far as they're concerned, there's just always an empty bucket under their kitchen work surface, and they just dump.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of the things I do to produce food within my own house. A lot of people don't have space for outdoor gardens or livestock or anything like that. Because I don't do too much in my house, but I do a few simple ones like these microgreens. I've got sunflowers and sweet corn going here. I just buy the seed from my local farm supply shop. It's the same seed that animal feed is used for. It works for me great. I do 7 ice cream tubs a week, so it's about 1 a day. because I have food coming from elsewhere, that's all I need for microgreens. But if I were in a city or needing to produce more of my own food just from this, it's so easy to scale up. You see, I just use ice cream tubs.
So I also have a little fish tank in my house. The way I got into regenerative agriculture was through an interest in aquaponics. I started ornamental fish keeping and just kind of kept exploring that option and got into food production. So I just kind of for nostalgia, I got a little fish tank in my house, and I use this water to water my houseplants and my microgreens. And
so I also do mushrooms, as we have here. I'm quite new to mushrooms, and this is my first attempt actually, but it's been highly successful. I just had the most delicious mushroom meal I've ever had from the mushrooms that were growing out of this. So I'm going to be practicing with mushrooms and trying to get a bit of a cycle going. I'd love to be able to produce just a bag like this every 2 or 3 days. These are oyster mushrooms in particular, but so far it's been very successful and quite easy, and really worth exploring more. I think it's a highly under-considered option for growing food in a small space.
so we are in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. I'm standing in a field of recently harvested forestry agriculture, pines from the look of the stumps, and then we've got some crops growing in the background, mealies or corn or maize or whatever you call it. Monoculture going there, monoculture going here. As you can see, after the harvest, this is a few months after harvest, and this is all there is. Just a sparse covering of pioneer weeds, trying to do their best to revegetate this landscape. But the farmers are not so much interested in revegetating the landscape, so standard practice will be to come through and poison, and then before they grow this out again, they will burn everything. It's an agricultural mindset glitch. This is a eucalyptus plantation. It's been under eucalyptus for a couple of decades now, and what you might notice is there's a lot of rock visible in the ground, and that's very unusual for this part of the world, and it's because the constant burning and exposing of the soil over decades has completely stripped the topsoil. There's just nothing left. This is just bedrock and subsoil. It's clay subsoil with the tiniest amount of organic matter from fallen leaves that gets slowly built up, and then they burn it. When there's finally some organic matter building up again, they then burn it all away and send it all into the air. There's just exposed soil, and sun, wind, rain just obliterate, take all the soil away. It's just leaving. I mean, I can see exposed clay there. This is supposed to be a farm, and I can see exposed clay. I don't see soil. Like, what's going on here? This is ridiculous. But it's beautiful though. As you can see, we've got pigs here digging in the ground, performing an essential ecological function. In wild ecosystems, this function is fulfilled by wild boar, by warthogs, by digging animals of any sort. And what they do is create these very small disturbances that allow for new plants to come through. They allow for, because in a thick grass, no new life can come through that. It's lovely and powerful, and it protects the soil so well, but there needs to be a cycle of controlled destruction and controlled regeneration. In modern agriculture, people have taken that far too far, and they take a tractor and a plow and they completely rip up an entire patch of earth, stripping the soil of all of its protection from sun, wind and rain. Those things are so damaging to soil, they obliterate it.
Okay, so I am here next to, this was a pig pen 20 minutes ago. I've just moved the pigs onto the fresh pasture. We had a lot of rain last night, so this is what pigs do to pasture in rain. When it's so wet, they can really get through it, but they don't turn it to the same depth as a mechanical plow. So this doesn't really bother me. There's still, you can probably still see, there's still roots at the surface, and this will refoliate very, very quickly. But what having the pigs on the pasture does for the pasture is they open it up. So obviously I don't want them to do this level of damage everywhere, but in small precise movements, it's very important to have diversity in pasture. You have to have open ground for new plants to come through on. But if you just open up the whole field and plow it, then if there's rain, wind, sun, it just absolutely obliterates that soil that you've just left so vulnerable. It's like an open wound that's just being completely left to the elements.
What does resilient gardening mean? In essence, it means that the world is a garden, so dig it. And what does that mean? It means that the world is out there. You can dig it by looking at it, you can enjoy it, you can enjoy it, appreciate it, enjoy it, you can appreciate it, you can also dig it by cultivating it. You can also dig it by cultivating it. It's radish left over from the community garden. Rabbits are fans, so we've got 2 adult girls and then a baby. So I'm going to show you how to get compost worms for free. It's rather easy in this part of the world especially. You just bury vegetable matter in the soil and eventually the compost worms will come through the soil and colonize that compost pile. In the meantime, I wash my dishes and take my grey water and deploy in the hole.
Let's go. He's going to try and charge me, and then I'm trying to teach him not to charge. So I'm going to fight it.
Alright, we've got a good storm coming in. But we're back at the compost pile. We're waiting for our compost worms to find our decomposing vegetable matter. In the meantime, we're making a little kind of subtropical, very rich area right by my house. So as a microclimate, it's going to be protected from the frost. So you can see I've already got banana growing rather successfully. I've got some turmeric on that side, and now I've got these little kids science project style sweet potatoes and ginger. Ginger grows taller, so I'm going to be planting that on the south side. I'm in the southern hemisphere, so the south side is the place I want the tall stuff, and the north side is where I want the lower growing sweet potatoes. And yeah, with all the compost I've been piling in, worms come in, lots of fertility, stuff's going to grow really strongly. So let's get in before the storm comes. Continue go. You can also dig it by cultivating it, helping it grow. And resilient gardening is when you add a third element to that and you consider yourself as a part of the world, and
conduct yourself in such a way that at the same time you are enjoying the world, making the world better, and making yourself better, and making your ability to improve the world better. So everything gets better over time. And that is what resilient gardening is, and that is what the Resilient Gardening Club is all about.